you've ever done yoga, it's kind of like doing yoga where it's like the time flies real quick and it's just kind of, you're in your own little world and it doesn't feel like a chore. You don't even feel like you're actually moving your limbs. It's just kind of, you feel like you're just a head floating along and just enjoying the run.
It sounds running is a fairly easy thing for folks to take up, since we are thankfully turning into such a health conscious society these days. But it sounds like you're mentioning that people just kind of develop bad habits, or they may not correctly understand every little part of what they're supposed to be doing when they're working out. And your job is really just to kind of show them that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're not really looking to do running coaching with a client, 3 days a week for the rest of their lives or anything like that. It's really about getting them maybe one or two, maybe even a few sessions to kind of get the hang of what it takes to run in a healthy way and experience running in a way that can be an experience rather than just chore for people.
So that is kind of the goal of what you do with your company. It's not necessarily to have somebody going to you every day, as you said, for years, but, just go to you maybe a couple times a year or as many times as they need, just to kind of keep them correct.
Exactly. I mean, we're more than happy to work with people on an ongoing basis if they need it, but our goal is really, let's teach this person the tools that they need to make running enjoyable and pain-free. And from there, most people will take it on their own.
And running is just one of the great physical things that you can do. I mean, it's one of the best ways to stay healthy and to lose weight and just to make sure everything kind of stays where it's supposed to stay, I guess.
Yeah, it's easy, it's free.
Yeah.
Other than the cost of running shoes, you can do it anytime you want, and our bodies naturally crave movement.
Right.
It's a natural craving that our bodies have, and a lot of people have lost that and just need a little boost to get that back.
Well, you mentioned running shoes, and running shoes are kind of designed for the masses. They're not necessarily designed for every individual, and we all walk different, and how we place our feet is all different. But part of what you do is actually developing footwear inserts that folks can use as they run that is actually individually designed to them.
Yeah, we actually do foot orthotics, and we have two different options. We do custom foot orthotics, which are based on a cast that we make of the foot, and we send that off to a lab, and they send us back a custom-made orthotic specific to a foot. And then we have prefabricated orthotics that are made for specific foot types, where we basically identify their foot type, classify it into a certain category, and we have orthotics that are already made for that foot category. And so basically, the foot orthotics just help to minimize and correct abnormal motions of the foot. If those motions are uncorrected, then it basically lead to pain anywhere from your foot all the way up to your neck, realistically, because everything's connected. If your foot mechanics are off, your knee mechanics are going to be off, and so on, your hip and your back. And it can basically, I've had people who have bad foot mechanics and migraine headaches, and the migraine headaches are a direct result of their bad foot mechanics.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So the orthotics then are, what are they doing? They're kind of forcing the foot into the correct position then?
Yeah, it depends on the foot type, but basically it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to help correct or slow down the abnormal motion, or in some people, like for instance me, I have very rigid feet, and there's not much motion in my feet. So instead of controlling motion, the orthotics that I wear basically help to support my foot, because my foot sits in a way where the entire foot doesn't contact the ground. So essentially the foot orthotic brings the ground up to my foot to give it some support, and that way there's not all this pressure on one area of my foot.
Now, this is a great service that you offer, because a lot of times folks will run out to the store, buy a pair of running shoes, get the most expensive pair, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's built correctly for them.
No, not at all. I mean, you can get the complete opposite pair of what you actually need. Some people have feet that are very flexible and have excessive motion, and some people have very rigid feet with very limited motion. And both of those shoes can cost $100 to $150, and you can go out and buy the most expensive shoe, and it might be exactly the opposite of what you really need. So, if you're going to start running, it's a good idea to consider foot orthotics and at least know what your foot type is. That way, when you go shopping for sneakers, you know what to look for, and you can talk to the shoe person and say, I need a shoe that's motion control, or I need a shoe that's cushioning, something like that.
That's one of the services that you offer, and what I found interesting that you do as well at Stride to Health is working with clients kind of on an immediate basis. So if somebody is running or working out and feeling some pain, you're pretty accessible, and folks can call you right up and say, hey, this is kind of what's going on, and you'll meet them and work with them immediately.
Yeah, we offer same-day service. We'll open up early, or we'll stay after our office hours in order to accommodate somebody and make sure that they get seen that day if that's their desire. So we're very accommodating.
Now, part of what Stride to Health, what you do in Simsbury, it's really the complete package. So it's working on nutrition, working on your physical aspects, looking at your feet individually and how they move. But you also do something that's growing more in popularity, and doing some research on this. It's called low-level laser therapy. And this is, the research coming out on it is just really groundbreaking. It's lots of positive results. So can you explain to folks a little bit more about it and why you decided to start working in this field?
Yeah, well, my background is I'm a physical therapist, so my whole career has been about helping people reduce their pain, and then I created this business to kind of specialize it with runners. But low-level laser therapy was something that I actually heard about 2 or 3 years ago. At that time, I was hearing mixed results, and lately I think they've improved the technology, and the results have been getting better lately. And basically what it is using the power of light, the energy associated with light, to facilitate the healing process in our cells and our tissues. It's kind of similar to how a tree produces its own food through photosynthesis. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar in that the light stimulates energy within our cells. And once that energy is stimulated, you can help with healing of muscles, tendons, bones, ligaments. And it's not a miracle modality where it's going to work 100% of the time for everybody, because it's not. But I've seen it do wonders on a lot of people who are dealing with pain, and even just fractures where they've had fractures that are not healing as fast as they should, and the laser therapy has helped to kind of give a boost to that healing.
I know, too, being a musician, I have lots of friends who are musicians and suffer from carpal tunnel. And I know personally for them, laser therapy has worked on helping with some of that nerve damage. It's worked on nerve damage for lower backs and things like that. So is that why you started to work in this therapy? Was it that you were just, seeing folks in your field who were kind of going through these injuries, and this was something that could help them?
Well, it's partially with the runners. It's a great way to get quick results with injuries that runners may experience. And it's not messy like with ultrasound is another modality physical therapists have used in the past. You got to put the gel on and ultrasound, and it's a little more time consuming. With the laser, you just turn it on and you shine it there. But part of the reason we also got the laser was just to give people who may not necessarily